Okay, Year 10, welcome to your video tutorial on trigonometry. Today we're going to start by a quick revision of what we did last year, which is Sohcahtoa. Okay, any right-angled triangle has three sides, the hypotenuse, the adjacent, and the opposite. Okay, and there's three ratios that we look at in relation to those sides, and they are sine, cosine, and tan. Okay, and depending on what I have, what information, if I have the opposite, if I have the adjacent, or if I have the hypotenuse, depends on which one of these ratios I can use to either find missing sides or missing angles. Okay, write down the ratio of cos theta for this triangle. Okay, so sine, cosine, and tangent. Hopefully you remember this. Sohcahtoa. Okay, if I have the opposite and the hypotenuse, I can use sine. If I have the adjacent and the hypotenuse, I can use cosine. If I have the opposite and the adjacent, I can use tangent. So if I label this triangle, here's my angle. Okay, the opposite is this guy here. Okay, the adjacent is this guy here, and the hypotenuse is this guy here. Okay, so the first thing I do is, first part of my success criteria is I label my sides, OA and H, okay? And I want cosine, so it's the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and it's always division. So cos theta, okay, remember, someone used to call it fetus. I cannot remember who that was, but someone always used to. Is the adjacent, so 7 in this case, because it's 7 there on the adjacent, over the hypotenuse, so 7 over whatever, the square root of 74. Just go with it. That's what they labelled the hypotenuse as. It's nothing in particular, nothing special or important. They've just labelled it as the square root of 74, so that's what I'm going to write. Okay, label the sides of the triangle for this question, OA and H, so that's the first thing I do. That's my hypotenuse. Here's my angle, so the opposite one is going to be that, and the adjacent one, the one next to it, is going to be that there. Okay, let's write the sine. So the first thing I write at my page is Sohcahtoa. These are my three ratios, sine, cosine, tangent. So write the sine of theta. Sine is my opposite over my hypotenuse. So it's going to be m over the hypotenuse is x. Cosine. Cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So a, n over x. Finally, tangent's my last one. It's my opposite over my adjacent. So m is my opposite over here over n, which is my adjacent. It's just getting you guys used to using those ratios. Okay, using those ratios. Always write Sohcahtoa at the top of your page and always do this OAH labeling. Okay, find the sine, the tangent, and the cosine ratio in each of these examples. Okay, so sine. Okay, sine, the sine ratio in this one, Sohcahtoa. Okay, the sine ratio is, let's label this one as well, that's my hypotenuse. If my angle's there, that's the opposite, and that's the adjacent. Okay, sine ratio is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite is 3, the hypotenuse is 5. Okay, the cosine ratio, the cosine of theta, okay, is going to be, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so it's going to be 4 on 5. And then finally the tangent is the opposite over, oops, that theta looks a bit weird, is the opposite over the adjacent, so it's going to be 3 on 4. Just getting you guys used to these things, okay? Just getting you used to remembering what Sohcahtoa is, okay, and how I actually work out those ratios.